Week update. I got to get right into the show because I'm bringing you one of my favorite people in politics and the guy that wins any poll of who in Missouri politics do you want to have dinner with. Billy Long, former congressman. Welcome to this week of Missouri Politics Midweek Update.
Thank you, Scotty baby. I appreciate you even thinking of an old timer like me and having me on your show.
Oh, the problem's going to be I'm going to be wanting to sit here and jawbone with you longer than anybody's going to want to listen or you've got time for. But let's start off. There's an old boy from New York, named Donald Trump. How's he getting along?
He's doing great. I was actually with the Donald, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, over the weekend in Washington, D.C. He was out there for the Faith and Freedom Coalition's Road to the Majority. Dr. Ralph Reed has really been working hard. What we need to do, Scott, is get the vote out in the churches. And it's unbelievable how many people in churches don't, think the vote. They're very conservative. They're Christian conservatives, but it just, if a few more would have voted last time, it could have changed that election. So we're loading up for bear this time. We're going to be ready for him and really working hard with Ralph Reed and the Faith and Freedom Coalition. And this week, I was in D.C. I went out on Tuesday and came home Sunday. So I was out there the whole week and really had some good meetings, and people are fired up and wanting to help. And I talked to some of the people behind the scenes that are helping Trump get his transition off on the right foot, have a lot of orders ready to go, executive orders ready to go on day one. Trump did one executive order on his first day. Biden did 18. I think Obama filled 1,200 positions his first day or something, and Trump filled 500. So being a babe in the woods the first time around, they're not going to let that stuff happen this time. They're really working hard to vet people and have a lot of people ready to go and work in the administration from day one. And I'd like to be one of those people. Trump has told me that he wants me in his administration, but it seems like I'm always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So I get a lot of lip service on doing this or doing that, but we'll see what happens.
Now, let me ask you a question, because it does seem a little I think this is something a lot of Missouri Republicans have had to kind of at least ponder a little bit. When I think of Christian conservative, I don't necessarily think Donald J. Trump. He comes off a little different than, let's just say, most deacons at a Southern Missouri Baptist church. Explain, but there is an undeniable love in the evangelical community for Donald Trump. Explain how that connection works.
He's a great family man. Let's start with that. I mean, he is the guy's never had a drink, never smoked. He had an alcoholic brother that passed away from alcoholism. He lives on Diet Cokes. He sleeps 3 hours a night, and he's a legitimately nice guy. He cares about people. I went down. Johnny Morris got an award down at Mar-a-Lago several months ago, and I went down there with Johnny and his wife and my wife, and Trump had us off in a side room there at Mar-a-Lago and sat down for 30 or 40 minutes and visited with us. And he didn't talk about Donald J. Trump or how great he was or what he was going to do. All he wanted to do was talk about Johnny and Bass Pro Shops, because Johnny has donated 25% of 100 homes for veterans, wounded veterans. And there was all kinds of wounded veterans at this event that we had down there. And I always tell the story about the black gentleman that I saw on TV that was interviewed in New York during Trump's first run back in 2016. And they said, "You're black, you're from New York. How can you support Donald J. Trump?" And he looked into the camera and he said, "When I was in junior high school, we didn't have a pot to go in or a window to throw it out of, didn't have anything, could not afford basketball uniforms. And Donald J. Trump outfitted our team in uniforms, paid for all of our uniforms, and never wanted any publicity out of it." And that's the kind of guy that he is. So anyone that takes any time at all to learn about the man and go to his heart, I think that's why the churchgoers and evangelicals are behind him. The blacks are behind him a lot stronger this time than they were before. It might set a record. The Hispanics, same way. And
isn't that interesting? Because when you say Hispanics, now I have never found Donald Trump to be racist against black people. I'm not the expert on people that are racist or racism things, because obviously being a white guy, a hillbilly from the boot hill, but it does surprise a little bit. He has had some pretty tough comments on immigration, but I guess there's folks that came here the right way that are eligible to vote, get a little red-assed at folks who came illegally, and they support a guy that's standing up for the system that they had to go through.
Right. And there's all kinds of ways. I've gone to immigration naturalization ceremonies at the Wilson's Creek National Battlefield here in Springfield, which I would recommend anyone tour if they haven't ever toured the Wilson's Creek Battlefield.
So great.
Up there. And but you can do it the right way, and then they don't appreciate the Hispanics, the blacks, the working guy out there doesn't appreciate illegals coming over the border and taking their jobs. And now that they've taken to raping and murdering young women in New York and in Texas and whatever, there's really a revolt finally about all this open border policy that the Biden administration. But I saw a story this morning how they're getting ballots to illegals. I haven't researched it yet, but there's a big story breaking today on that very thing. So we'll have to see what happens.
So I was there. My buddy Carl from Callaway County got me this terrific Oktoberfest Stein. It's only 87 days, 17 hours, 54 minutes until Oktoberfest, but who's counting, besides all those Germans in the Rhineland? I could pull from that. I want to thank our friends at the United Electric Co-op letting us broadcast this to the great Northwest through their terrific rural broadband, and obviously the folks at the Courtyard by Marriott here in town. Congressman Long, there's a governor's race. You've ran statewide. You know all three of these old boys, I'm sure on some level. How do you size up where that race is at?
It looks like it's getting really, most all these races come out very, very close. I can't believe that the national polls, what's a Fox poll they did on president the other day, and they did registered voters, not likely voters, and tried to make it look like it's within 2 points, which I cannot believe anybody in their right mind could vote for another Biden administration. But all these races seem to come down at the end, and you get attack ads on all sides. And of course, Ashcroft started out with a huge name advantage, the family name and everything, and been in politics for a long time. Kehoe started out with a large money advantage, lieutenant governor. He gets a microphone anytime he wants one. And I think that, it's too close to call is what I'd say on that one.
You've got to see down in Springfield, Kehoe's been up for 2 months on TV. And it's interesting, you show me one poll, I don't believe it. I say thank you and I see it. But you show me 2 or 3 that have the same general trend lines, then I start to think, okay, there's at least some validity to those statistics. I have seen Kehoe close the gap, and now it's within the margin of error. But it comes down to that old-fashioned, he's been up on TV when his opponents haven't. It does make sense. The Eigel campaign has a lot of thunder on the internet, but the internet's only so much. It just makes sense where Kehoe has spent by far the most money, and he's had by far the most movement in the polls.
Yeah, and we don't know what will happen between now and what's the date? Is it August 2nd, August 4th? When is the election? I'm not even sure the date.
7th?
The what?
One of them days.
Oh, the 7th.
I should probably know this. It's actually August 6th.
6th. So that's what I was going to say if you hadn't interrupted me. August 6th. Between now and then, I'm sure that Ashcroft will be up on TV. I don't know if Eigel will have the money to go up on TV, but it's unfortunately TV wins it a lot. And but I know that both candidates, I haven't seen Eigel out that much, but I know that Ashcroft and Kehoe both have been working, a lot of the events that I go to and around the state, and really, really working hard at this. And so I think it'll, continue to tighten. And who knows, it may be a late nighter, or maybe one where they recount 2 weeks later. We had a mayor's race here in Willard, Missouri, 326 to 326. And so if you think your vote doesn't matter, folks, you're thinking wrong.
And there's a bunch of rules in the state around the state. Some people flip it by a quarter. Some people revote. There's all sorts of different nooks and crannies of how they settle them ties.
Yeah, in my understanding, they could have flipped a coin. One candidate wanted to. We had an incumbent mayor, black fella. He was 25 years old when he got elected, the youngest black mayor, I think, in the state of Missouri ever. And they were accusing him of this, that, and the other. And so he stepped down as mayor and then ran for his old position. He tied the other gentleman, 326. And then at the end of the day, Troy Smith, the other gentleman, he ended up winning the thing by like 100 votes but Troy wanted to flip a coin. He said, let's just, save the city money and flip a coin. And the other fellow didn't want to. So you're right. You can flip a coin. You can have a redo election or whatever you want to do. But they did all the recount. It still came out tied. So 2 months later, and that was just a week or 10 days ago that they had that revote, I guess you'd say.
There's a few folks running statewide that are from your neck of the woods. The first one jumps out to my mind is, a fellow named Lincoln Huff?
What's the name again? Abraham
Half?
Lincoln Hoof. Yeah, hey, Lincoln Hoof. Yeah, I have people mispronounce it. I had one guy that keeps calling me about him. I said, if you don't learn to pronounce his name, I'm going to reach through this phone and slap you. It's tough. Get over it. Yeah, I think Lincoln, now he's been up on TV.
Yeah.
Has he been on TV in your area? I know he has down here.
He has been on SEMO. I haven't seen it personally, but St. Louis folks say they've seen some ads. I think he's up in Kansas City now.
Okay, well, he's got some really good ads running. And to win statewide in Missouri, you have to do well in the 7th Congressional District. And I know just a little bit about the 7th Congressional District. So if he can get his numbers up down here, he should have a pretty good chance at that, I would think. And same goes for Shane Scholler. I saw Shane at breakfast this morning, and he
ain't a nicer guy in politics than Shane Scholler.
He was. That's true. He was running out to present company accepted. I'm sure you meant to say, but
I said.
But he said, I got to run out the car for a minute, but I'll be back in. I said, oh gosh, thanks for the warning.
Yeah, but, take your time.
I got a funny story. I got a story about everything. But Shane was having this fundraiser, and he said, can I put your name on it and have you come to it? I said, well, you can put my name on it, but my schedule, Trump may call, or his people say, Billy needs to go here, go there, go yonder. And I've been traveling a lot, so I cannot guarantee I'll be there. So I'm having breakfast one day, and Bob Mace, buddy of mine down here, went to high school with, he said, what did you talk about last night? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, you were the featured speaker, featured guest at Shane Scholler's event last night. And I, all the color goes out of my face. And I go, I forgot it. And I'm like, why didn't somebody there text me? Why didn't Shane text me? Why didn't his chief? Somebody could have texted me. I got to run over there. So I text him this, real sorrowful,
him dogging.
Man, I'm so sorry. I missed your event last night. I'm having breakfast here with Bob. And I said, why didn't you call me? I told you to call me twice and text me twice the day of and the day before, so I don't forget it. And he texted back. He said, you didn't miss anything, Billy. It's next week. So Bob had the wrong day and had me feeling all bad. And so I looked at my calendar and I said, well, unfortunately, I'm going to be at the one of the real huge Republican donors is having an event with the Toby Keith Memorial golf tournament down in Oklahoma City that day. And I said, well, I'm going to be, I said I could call it in if you want me to. So Sheriff Arnott was speaking, and I called it in and got my 2 cents in on Shane. So anyway, I covered myself, but I was feeling bad that I'd missed the thing and spaced it out, hadn't gone, and Bob Mace is the one that spaced it out because he didn't read his invite correctly. It was
you did need to send the text that you was going, because you was going to miss it. You just hadn't missed it yet, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Pre-apology.
Copy and paste.
I have to pre-apology with Casey all the time. Just kind of wake up in the morning and start apologizing. And even if I haven't done something yet, I'll do something later. Now, I was, with Shane. Shane doesn't have a lot of money for that campaign, but if you really start doing the numbers, if you cut that in a 1 or 2 or 3-way race, who knows? You get a 6-way do if you just do well on the 7th, if the number to win is 20%, and you do decent everywhere else, and you just do good in the 7th, you could win with 20%.
Yeah, and he's got a great name ID down here. He's got a great reputation. He's been in that position quite a while. And, that's where Roy Blunt started out in politics. If memory serves, he started out in that same position here at the Greene County Courthouse. And I've got I don't have it here at this office, but in my office in D.C., I have framed my auctioneer license from 1980, I want to say 2 or 86 or something. I'm not sure, but and it's my auctioneer license signed by Greene County Clerk Roy Blunt, and it's signed in pen. It's not auto signed. So I always tell Roy about that and remind him of that.
I have a professional wrestling referee license from the state. No doubt. It was signed by Molenkamp, so it's not quite as cool, but that's the only thing that ever licensed me for. Let me ask you about a couple other folks. Treasurer's race, you got Lori Rook. Not that many folks know much about her, but I've seen her signed in TV ads a little bit. She's an attorney down in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I know a lot of the Rooks down there, and I'm assuming that it's some relative or sure tail relative of the Rooks who are great people. I've seen her signs down here, have not met her, don't, haven't followed that race really, so I don't know what, and that's for what you say, treasurer?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I saw one of her signs one time, and I thought it was for lieutenant governor, and I'm like, what? And then I went by again. More times I saw it, I saw that it was for the treasurer's race. So you've got Cody Smith over here in our neck of the
Cody
woods,
and
another
Joplin,
seventh
yep.
district person, Lori 7th district, and then you got Vivek Malik, who's the setting treasurer for Missouri. I guess he's not going for re-election because he was appointed. He's going for election, kind of like the attorney general race.
Yep.
But yeah, so that Malik, I mean, it's hard to beat an incumbent at any level. I don't care if you
He's
were
raising a lot of money too. Woo.
Who Malik is?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't. Like I said, when I left DC, I left. I mean, I haven't.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about Trump with nationally. In my gut, which is a sizable gut, I kind of felt like folks were getting, I don't know about tired of Trump. Trump does bring a lot of drama. I like that hat. I always like that. He does bring a lot of drama. And I think folks were, I don't know if he's tired of him, but he was a little vulnerable. Then they started arresting him every 3 days for just jaywalking or whatever. And I kind of, it struck, I think, most folks as that ain't right. Something's not right with that.
Well,
and I think that's helped him. And then when he got convicted of, I don't even know what he's convicted of. I think folks in their gut smell bullshit.
Now, that I can tell a story about anything. And when you start going to Trump, that's why I put this hat on.
I like it.
The day he got convicted, one of our ladies that works here in our office, Commerce Terrace Consulting in Springfield, said, I've never made a political donation in my life. And she said, I bought this hat, the one I'm wearing now, on the day he got convicted. She said, that was my first political donation. So I didn't know that story, but this morning when I was in her office, which is 2 doors down from me here, I saw this on her shelf, and I thought, well, I'm gonna borrow that for Scott's interview. And then when she told me that story, I mean, that fits in exactly to what you just asked me. It's almost like we set it up, which we didn't. But people, and I was out at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. I know it's hard to believe I'd ever go to Las Vegas, but I was in Las Vegas back in January, the Consumer Electronics Show, playing poker. Oh, did I say that? I was playing poker at the Venetian. And the guy next to me has a shirt on that says, I'm voting for the guy with the most convictions. There's a lot of people like him and like Kelsey here in our office that bought this Make America Great Again hat off the internet, I'm sure, but it was a political donation, and it was her first one. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are upset what we're becoming a banana republic, and
well, we are. That's just the truth.
Yeah, and I've never had a banana in my life. Now that's a fact. So I'm not too big on banana republics, but I've never eaten a banana in my life.
Check mine out.
They stink to me. But
I am not a banana
Oreos, but no bananas. But yeah, I mean, this is third world country stuff where you attack your opponent for I mean, if Biden's here and Trump's here and they do the exact same thing, you know what's going to happen? They're going to go after Trump and Biden. They're going to let him skate, which happens a lot between Democrats and Republicans. I don't care who it is, what office, what level, statewide.
I think it's been good that the American people have seen this justice system for what it is. It is highly selective. Now, I don't know that I've got a better idea, so I hate to be that old boy that just complains. But I think Republicans say government's bad unless they're carrying a badge, and it's great. Now, I have a lot of understanding for that cop on the street, but I'm telling you, those FBI guys, they're bad news. I have no faith in them. But my hat says "Make Missouri Great Again." I got this in 16 somewhere.
I've got a picture of me speaking at the Republican Jewish Coalition back. I guess it was either in 19 or 20, and in the middle of the night, literally, I popped in my head, "Make Trump president again." I went the next day across the street to one of those hat shops that make hats for you, and I got a half a dozen or 10 hats that look just like this, but instead of a "Make America Great Again," they say "Make Trump president again." And so I go over there and I'm coming out before Trump, and I walk out with that "Make Trump President Again" hat on. Again, this is before the 20 election, not the 16 election. And I tell the story. I said that, I woke up in the middle of the night and I went across the street and came up, and everybody starts laughing. I'm going, that's not a punchline. That's the truth. And I said, I'm going to set this hat, this "Make Trump President Again" hat, on the podium here, and don't let anybody touch it. But when Trump comes out, he will be the first owner of a "Make Trump President Again" hat. And so we were able to go backstage and get our pictures taken together with both of our "Make Trump President." It didn't work. We didn't make him president again that time, but we're going to this time.
Well, save that. Yeah. I do think there's a piece. I think Trump getting convicted makes him closer to getting elected. I think he's further towards getting elected after that. And I look at I understand Trump's personality. While I like it, but I understand other folks that don't. I understand there's folks that have always been Democrats and liberals and what have you. There is an element, if you're just a working person, how can you look at the cost of gas and think that's what I want to do? That's what we need. I just don't understand. And again, I have a lot of Democrat friends, and I have respect for their point of view. But boy, the results for the country, it's very Biden. I just don't know what you're hanging your hat on to say we want more of that from Biden.
Another little known fact, other than the fact I've never tasted a banana or never eaten a banana, I've smelled them, but I've never eaten a banana in my life, is that I had as many friends on the Democrat side of the aisle as I did the Republican side, because you needed Democrats. If you were going to do legislation like I did for Liggett and Platt down here in Carthage on countervailing duties and things when China was dumping and hurting Liggett and Platt, you've got to go to a Democrat. And I had a very good relationship with Nancy Pelosi. I know people, don't want to hear that, but I never voted with her, never agreed with her politically on anything.
Let's do it right by the folks in Southwest Missouri, is have a good relationship with people.
But at least I kept the line of communication open when I did do legislation, did do bills with Diana to get on healthcare bills, or with, the Liggett and Platt thing, the countervailing duties and things like that. I could go to Nancy Pelosi and say, hey, I need a Dem on this. She'd go to them and say, hey, look, Billy's a really good guy. Don't agree with him politically, but he's a good guy, and this is a good bill, and will you work it with him? And so I got paired up with Democrats a lot of the time. And that, I'm a people person. I'm a salesman. Yeah. I never was a politician, never ran for any office before Congress. Why? Because I was afraid I might get elected. But Congress, I just rolled with the punches and figured it out. And I think that I did a very good job of representing my district, my people. And here's another interesting story. I hope some of these are interesting to you and your listeners. I think they're interesting, but you're probably like, oh, this guy's boring. Is this story going to be long?
But Congress, no one's ever said that about you. There are many members of Congress that are stone boring. No one's ever said, oh, Billy Long's so boring. That's never happened.
I've always, my wife and I were down at Rosie Joe's Cafe, I don't know, 6 months ago or whatever. And this elderly gentleman comes in, he stands over us. We're at a table for two. And he said, I want to thank you. And I looked up and I said, for what? And he said, I fought the VA for 7 years on my hearing. And he said, I went to your office on a Thursday and you had it fixed on Monday morning. And I want to thank you. And I always tell people that the only good thing I did in Congress, in my opinion, was help veterans. We helped myriad veterans. Lisa Saylor, who worked for me, who was my main veterans gal, she now worked for Senator Schmidt. And so the veterans here have the same level of service they always did with me with Senator Schmidt now. And anyway, this guy tells me this story. So I always preface, they say, well, what was it like being in Congress? What did you accomplish? And I always tell them the only thing I accomplished was helping veterans, and what you shouldn't have to. They ought to be able to go to the VA and get whatever they got coming, but the VA would always fight them. But when that congressman picks up the phone and calls, they're going to change. So I'm at the Springfield airport flying to DC last Tuesday, and I get up to use the little boys' room, and I'm walking, and this lady comes up to me and goes, Billy, you missed the belt loop in the back. And I'm like, I did? Okay. So I was going to the bathroom anyway, so I looped my belt through the last belt loop right in the middle of the back I'd missed apparently when I put my pants on. And so anyway, I come back out and I turn around backwards, and I said, did I get them all? She said, yeah, you got them all. I said, good. She said, let me ask you a question. So I sat down by her and she said, my dad was a veteran, and we've lost his DD-14 or 24, whatever I can't think of the number right this second, but we've lost it. And I've been trying to get a headstone for him. And I've been, I've gone to everyone, gone every place, everything. And so, I text, and it's like the flight was 5:30. So this is like 4:50 in the morning, which my pea brain, I wasn't thinking it was 4:50 in the morning. So I text Lisa Saylor at 4:50 in the morning. I said, give me your name, give me your number. And she does. I said, contact this lady. She's trying to get a headstone for her dad, which I haven't followed up yet. But next time you have me on your show, maybe I can give you a follow up and we'll have a good
I'm going to write that down.
Hopefully we got him the headstone. But that is what I mean by, veterans were my passion. We had every year I'd take them fishing on Table Rock Lake. One year we had 100 and I think we had 70 some was the most we had. We had two guys over 100 years, two veterans over 100 years old, professional fishing guides like Stacy King and different guides down on the lake down here on Table Rock give up their whole day, and they charge like $550 a day to guide. So they all, and take these guys fishing and gals fishing, and there'd be two to a boat, except my boat. There'd be two fishermen plus the guide in each boat. It's a great, great experience for them. And I had one of the veterans come up to me at one of the last ones I did, and he had tears just streaming down his eyes. And he said, I want to thank you. And I said, for what? And he said, everybody says, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. He said, everybody tells you that. He said, but you're one of the few people that has ever taken time and done something with us for a full day. So,
that's kind of stuff that sticks with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they, I grew up during the Vietnam War. It was on my TV set every night at dinner. When the draft came out, the draft numbers came out, the first year of it, or second year, whatever it was, my birthday, August 11, 8/11/55. So, keep that in mind if you want to send me. I like chocolate cake with chocolate icing, but, my birthday that first year was like 347. So there's no way I was going to get drafted. Well, the next year, when it is my year, I'm like number 7. I go from 347. So I'm going, except they called it off right then. And so I did not serve my country. And my dad did. My dad was in the Navy in World War II. My father-in-law was in the Navy in Korea. And so, I'm just passionate about the veterans, and I try and do anything. But we were so successful thanks to Lisa Saylor and Anna Barbie, who started out in that veterans position, and Sydney Ingram Johnson, who helped Lisa. She now works over at Drury University. I had very good people, and that's all they did was veterans issues. And when Lisa calls the VA and says something, they listen. It's like the old E.F. Hutton ads that ended up E.F. Hutton. I used to say, when my buddy Kelsey Short, who his dad was mayor of North Kansas City. We were fraternity brothers together, and there was a long and a short of it, But Kelsey Short, whenever his dad worked for E.F. Hutton, and I used to say, when you're too young for this stuff, but the old ad was, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. So it'd be a big terminal, airline or airport terminal somewhere, and everybody be around, and then somebody'd say something about E.F. The whole the airport would just stop and it's quiet. So they'd listen to what they were talking about. E.F. Hutton was saying, but when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen, but they got a little check kiting problem if you Google that. And so I used to tell Kelsey Short Sr., who I said was mayor of North Kansas City, I said, when E.F. Hutton kites, people listen. Unfortunately, he died prematurely of a heart attack on a Thanksgiving not long after I was out of college. His wife, Liz Short, she's the one that got Harris Casino to come to Kansas City and everything.
Yep.
She then becomes mayor of North Kansas City. So
that's Bill, I want to ask you about somebody I just ran into yesterday. Mark Alford. He gave me this. This is going to be the newest addition to our backdrop here at the streaming studio. I'd love to get one of them Billy Long signs, but Mark Alford's done a pretty dadgum good job, ain't he? He's fitting in.
He has done an outstanding job. He is. I took him and Eric Burleson independently to lunch here in Springfield. And I said, I want you to come down and, I'll take you to lunch, and I want to take you to my office and introduce you everybody. And I just, laid it out there. I just, I said, these are the things I wish people would have told me when I first got elected. I told them how to set up their office, what to look for in the way of chief of staff and your legislative director and your interns and everything, and gave them some pointers on travel and what to do about vehicles, how to get to and from and all that stuff. And, and travel. I said, travel every chance you get and take your wife with you. A lot of congressmen are afraid to travel internationally. They're like, oh, it'll look bad to the people back home. Hey, I went to so many different countries, and people were so appreciative that a member of the United States Congress would take time, an ally of the United States, take time to come and visit them. And I didn't care if I lost the next election. I knew it wasn't going to hurt me, but the rumor was, oh, if you travel too much, you're gonna lose your next election. And Barbara didn't go with me for the first, I don't know, 2-3 years, whatever. And but when she started going with me, I mean, it made a lot of difference. And
Sure.
I mean, and when I have a fundraiser in DC,
it would look like one of those two took what you said to heart.
Yeah.
But I'll save that for we'll save that for a different show. Congressman, thank you so much for the time. I always enjoy the visit. I sure appreciate you making the time.
Well, I'm glad you remembered I used to be in Congress. Most people have forgot about me. You know, like Jeff Rose says, I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of politics.
Well, I tell you, I'm going to be down there the week after the 4th. I'll see if you got time. We'll have some of that supper down there together.
Yeah. I'll take you out. It's on you, so you bet.
I'll do it. Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate it.
See you, buddy. Thank you.
Billy Long is a tremendous statesman, one of my favorite people. I got to show you. Kelton, do we have it ready? This is Billy Long right here. He took a moment to take a picture with a young guy. That's him and Gussie in my old studio in St. Louis. Gussie got an award, and Billy presented it to him there in the studio. And Gussie loves challenge coins, and I still have it. I'll show you. I'll post that picture, Kelton, and I'll the challenge. Gussie loves a coin, and Billy Long had these coins at the time. Gave Gussie one. I had to give me two because I want to save one because Gussie plays with them. He shoots them around. Billy Long's one of the best folks I've ever. He's got one of the biggest hearts if anybody's seen it in public service. He was a public servant. I love that story about the veterans. I'm gonna start giving you a little. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be here with Mark Ellinger at 11 o'clock. Friday, Owensville. Now I'm gonna help you all out. It's funny. I saw Bill Eigle's first TV ad. Right, Kelton. Do you know where Bill shot his first TV ad?
It looked to me like it was on a farm.
It was on a farm. All the city people, they may not like us Hicks, but when they run statewide, what do, Kelton? They go find them a farm.
A farm or a construction site.
You might never hear them talk about farming their whole career, but by God, whenever they start running for office, they get them some camo. They go get them a farm. Every time I text Bill this morning, I was like, I sure like that farm. That's a nice farm you found. Friday. So I'm going to give you some things to do on weekend here. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, Mark Ellinger. If you've ever heard of a politician in the Republican Party, Mark Ellinger is their lawyer. It's going to be fun. And then we got the Owensville Picnic and Fireworks is this weekend. Then we got, this is cool. Seriously, it's Tuesday. So if you get on this now, you probably get tickets. Arrow Rock. If you don't know about Arrow Rock, you are missing out on one of the true treasures of this state. One of the oldest settlements here, and what ended up being Dixieland, I guess. What do they call that? The Boone Slick. Well, I think they call it Little Dixie there in that area. One of the oldest settlements, Arrow Rock, that's still there. A lot of them flooded, like old. The reason there's a New Franklin is because old Franklin flooded. Jimmy Buffett's escape to Margaritaville. You would not put Margaritaville and Jimmy Buffett and Arrow Rock would not be together, but they're going to collide this weekend at Arrow Rock. I'm going to start helping you. If you want to see what else happened in this state, go to ruralmissouri.coop and it'll take you to Rural Missouri Magazine. It'll show you everything there is to do in this state. I'm going to start helping you all that with your weekend plans. That's what a friendly hillbilly would do. We will see you tomorrow for This Week in Missouri Politics with Mark Ellinger. That's if I get arrested, he'll be able to get me out of it in time to do the show. So that's a good